Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts like the chart behind me, which is of Tesla, ticker symbol TSLA. And so it looks like they are reporting earnings today, reported it, and will be having their earnings call or webcast in about 28 minutes now, starting this a little bit late. And we can see that on the day, price did come down about 2%, closing on the day at $200 and $246.38. And then, coming down about 8% so far in the after hours, having hit a low of $233.23 and bouncing a little bit. And so we'll have to see what happens when the call does start. Maybe Elon can say some things that will bring the price back up. So yeah, I am excited to be streaming this. I believe the past few Tesla earnings calls I've been working, and so, I'm excited to be joining. Personally, I'm not a Tesla shareholder. I have swung it a little bit in the past, but, I just really like the company, although most of the stocks that I trade are significantly cheaper per share than Tesla. And so I'm really just like a Tesla and Elon Musk fanboy. I imagine a lot of us are fanboys, girls, whatever. And so excited to be listening to Elon and the company, see what they have to say. And so that'll be starting in about 27 minutes. So for the time being, just getting everything set up. It's been maybe a month or so since I've done an earnings call, so it might be a little bit rocky, but everything should be fine as far as audio and stuff like that. And so I'll start getting that up. I do see a comment or a live chat from Mac Attack. Watch all the stocks with quantum computing. Yeah, there's one. I'll throw it up here. Let's see, quantum computing here, QUBT. That's one that I've looked over during some of the streams, so people might be interested in that. Mac Attack is saying QUBT could explode if they get some partnerships. They are trying to get crushed by some big. They're trying to get crushed by some big names, though. They have proven that their computing is stronger than Microsoft's in a few areas, and I feel like that's also a very interesting play too, with the CrowdStrike thing going on, which is apparently still affecting people. I haven't been affected by it too much, but I know that flights have been delayed, canceled, whatnot, and a lot of people have been screwed over by that. But, before I get into, the charts more, Tesla's still around down about, sorry, I had said down 8%. I meant $8. Down about 3.5%, 3.5% in the after hours. Sorry, I said 8% before, but I meant $8. And so, yeah. I was reading it word for word, but then whenever I type stuff, sometimes I have typos, and I recognize I'm the kind of person that, if I have a teleprompter, I'm just going to read every single word exactly on it. But I recognize that, especially when people are typing on their phones. And so they're getting crushed, referring to QBT, getting crushed. By some big names, though. That might be one of interest. I guess the chart here, these are some levels that I had drawn before, but I don't want to get too distracted before I get things set up, so I am going to make sure to do that. And so I don't think I included a link to their investor relations in the stream, and so let's see. I guess these are both the same page. I'm actually going to add that to, let's see, the description so people can access it if they want to. And then maybe we can look at the earnings report as well. And I'm actually going to post a link to this to X in case people want to join. And so, and actually, you guys can't see. Crap, my display's screen frozen. Okay, yeah, so let's see. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties. We can see this is, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties. So just give me 1 second. I'm going to get things set up. I might have to restart the stream, but it won't affect you guys. It might just be a little bit of a blip. So yeah, this is the chart behind me that's frozen. I'm sorry about that. And actually, yeah, I will address this before posting anything on Twitter, on X, I should say. Um, and yes, and I'll respond to the live chat once I get this sorted out. Let's see. Yep, I think I am going to have to actually restart. I'm going to have to restart OBS, so just 1 second. If you guys hang tight, I will be back in 1 second, though. So, hey, I should be back. Sorry about that little blip. As you can see here, the screen is not frozen anymore, so that's good. And we can see I really screwed up the start of this live stream, but now $10, about 4% in the after hours trading. But while you guys look at that, maybe let's see. What I can do is, oh man, I've got to. Yeah, you guys are just gonna have to see what I'm looking at. Excuse me for a second, but I'm just gonna post this to Twitter in case people want to join. And so I got that. There's a link there in case anybody wants to join. Okay, cool. And then so now I need to get this set up. Listen to the live webcast. So cool. So we've got that. And what I will do, so we don't get interrupted as far as sound goes, I'm going to plug my headphones into it in case there's, copyright or something, music on there. I'll have it silent for you guys, and then I'll get the call started right when it gets going. And sorry about this, but this is why I gave myself a whole 30 minutes to get set up in case I screwed up. Okay, and then so let's see. I think I want to have Weeble on here, but I need to adjust that so it is bigger. I hope I'm not losing people. I see that people are maybe leaving, but yeah, okay, so got this here. Oh. Man, OBS sucks sometimes when streaming. Man. I'm just trying to adjust the frame and it won't let me. Unlocking it and whatnot. Yeah, so I'm going to have to restart this again. 1 second. I'll be right back. Should be back with you guys, and I can adjust this now, so that's good. So that should look like it normally looks, and then I can have Chrome here above, and so we can just see what time it is. I'm gonna have to crop it a little bit. Now let's see, I'm going to take some off the top. Excuse me. And then all right, so that's the countdown to when the call starts. So I'll just leave that there above me, and that can't be right though. Yeah, I guess they're running a little bit behind schedule because it should be Oh yeah, no, I guess yeah, about 17 minutes from now. I'm not good at the math. Um, or did I screw this up? I get very confused with the Eastern time. So this is hmm. Yeah, 4:30 Central, 5:30 Eastern. Okay, so I didn't screw that up. That's good. So we're all ready to go. And I'm going to switch back to the chart. Okay, so I'm going to catch up on the comments. Alan, I'm sorry if you left. I know some people left while I was fumbling around. But Alan's saying, I was in the AI stocks in 2013 to 2016, and they all lost money but hit late. Maybe that's quantum computing. And then Aglel says Tesla does everything. It's very true. And so hopefully I got everything set up now. If you do notice any issues with anything, just let me know. But I think everything should be good for now. And we are looking at the 10-minute time scale. I'm going to switch over to the 1-minute time scale now because maybe there are some levels, that we can look at that might stand out. And so what I see is, this low here, 233.23, connecting with the higher low over here. And that is at 234 and 60 cents. 234 and 60 cents there. So we had a nice little trend line there. So it'd be nice to keep an eye on that and see if we can continue to form. Oh man, but I ended up screwing this up apparently because this is not to that exact time. It was a minute off. Okay, yeah, so that's a trend line that we'll want to be staying above, forming higher lows. If we break below that, I could see a retest of $233.23. So maybe I'll put a line there as well. And so that's what we're dealing with. Possibilities to the downside over there. And yeah. And so I think I might, start this over, not as far as my speech goes, my intro, and then I will maybe re-release this. Actually, no, I probably won't do that. It sounds like too much work and probably not that necessary. But yeah, Tesla is trading in the after hours down about 4.25% or so, about 11, almost $11 down in the after hours. And we have been forming, higher lows relative to the day's trading. We are down notably, let's see, relative to the open, which was at $253.60. So let's see if I can get a measurement to that point right around there. We are down from open about 7.5%. So, hopefully we get some good news. Hopefully get some bullish thoughts, some bullish projections for the stock. And on that note, one thing that we might want to do is we can look over at their report. And so let's check this out over here. Download the shareholder deck, listen to the webcast. We can see the press release for here, or I guess the shareholder deck. I'm not really familiar with this. Oh, this is just the slides and stuff. Probably better for us to look at the press release. And so I can, read this to you guys as we go through it. As we wait, I should say. And I might actually increase the size of this so you guys can see it a little bit better. And so Tesla vehicle production and deliveries and date for the financial results and webcast for the second quarter of 2024. So from Austin, Texas, on, wait a second, July 2nd. This is the correct, I guess this is the announcement for it. Yeah, this is the announcement for it. I want to see the earnings. The results, let's see. Okay, so yeah, I think that we're just kind of waiting for them to announce. Um, yeah, I'm surprised that there's not a filing, but there is actually something here on Webull that I can look at here. Press release: Tesla releases second quarter financial results. So I might click on that, see what that says about Tesla. All right, and so yeah, as previously announced, Tesla management will host a live question and answer webcast at 4:30 p.m. Central or 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully, did I advertise that correctly? I screwed up the thumbnail. Dang. I might actually, excuse me, change this. This is how I make my thumbnails pretty fancy. Yeah. I see the comment. Antoine saying, "Guy hits that like button for my man here. He needs a boost." Yeah, happy. Hey, oh, and hey, what's up? I see that. Hey, Andy, what's up? Not much. I'm fumbling with getting the earnings call going just because it's been about a month since I've done this. This is a nice refresher for me. And I realized I screwed up the thumbnail. I was just really excited about making that AMC video, trying a different style, taking from CNBC, Squawk Box, and just kind of editing it a little bit to make it a little more fast paced. And yeah, I hope that that video performs well, but it kind of took me a little while to edit it, longer than I'd expected. So yeah, I'm just going to do that here, and I should add it to the Tesla playlist. So there's a Tesla playlist. I don't cover Tesla that often, but there is a playlist for them because I have covered them a couple times. So yeah, that's good. And we are still got about 10 minutes left, and so I can get back to reading this. Sorry for all the fumbling, but the call has not started anyways. So yeah, and I should note that we are still down about 4.5%, about $11 in the after hours. And so just continuing on with this and recognizing that I screwed up that. And I'm going to check on Twitter. Yeah, I screwed up that thumbnail. That's embarrassing. But that's what happens when you put information on thumbnails. Okay, so anyways, as previously announced, Tesla management will host this. Yes, and we're doing that now. And this is the Tesla second quarter 2024 financial results Q&A webcast today at 5:30 Eastern. Webcast. View the source Business Wire. So maybe I can't actually copy that. Yeah, so from my understanding, they haven't really released any information out about this. But let's see here. Tesla, can you see that? Yep, cool. Tesla gives nod to regulatory credits as rivals lag on emissions. So that's from Market Talk. Tesla's robotaxi timeline hinges on new tech regulatory approval, and that's also from Market Talk. Maybe this is something of interest. Kamala Harris versus Trump views on nearly every industry: EVs, oil and gas, healthcare are worlds apart. Yeah, and so I feel like Biden kind of shut Tesla out of their little EV summit that they had earlier. And, I feel like Harris will be more or less the same, whether it's those individuals or just, the parties pushing the agendas or whatever. And so, Elon has, said that he supports Trump. So I would think that that's much better for not only Tesla, but also SpaceX and his other businesses just being more favorable of Elon's businesses. And so let's see. Let's check this one out. This is Tesla gives a nod to revenue it received from selling regulatory credits to other automakers who the electric vehicle company notes are still lagging on meeting emissions requirements. Tesla logged $890 million in the second quarter revenue from selling the credits, up more than 50% from last year, providing a lift to both revenue and profits. Tesla shares down, though, about 3.3% in late trading after adjusted EPS falls short of expectations. So I was not able to find that information, but yeah, there. And then Antoine saying, when you get a chance, check out HIRU and the fundamentals. Awesome. HIRU. So I'll pull it up here. I probably won't spend too much time on them just because this is like, a Tesla stream, but I can have a quick look. And most of the charting that I do, if you're new to the channel, most of the charting that I do is on the daily time frame, just because, that's kind of the way that I like to look at the charts here. I might actually switch over to the weekly. And this, yeah, it looks like, struggling a little bit maybe to get above, this trend. Like right there, just being approximate. And so if these big moves continue, that would be great. Although it does look like, with trading being done, this is the week though, the week's not done. Yeah, so looking at this on the daily time frame, it looks like it's probably getting rejected from that level. And so if we are to assume, and this is actually trading at less than a cent, but just doing this kind of quickly, if we are to assume that the top is in with the high of 0.48 cents today, here's a Fibonacci retracement. We've got a gap here at the 50%, which is at 0.26 cents. And then the golden pocket here, that's around 0.2 cents. 786 around 0.1. I could see this pulling back to any of those levels right around here before it makes its next attempt to break out. So yeah, it looks like it's getting there, but I think it may need another pullback before it can really get that test out. Breakout, I should say. And maybe, I'm not going to draw it right now, but it does look like it's kind of like trading in a channel, tightening a little bit, and so it might need to just hang out a little bit and then break out. So that's what I would think. And I'm going to switch this back over to the minute time frame for Tesla. Yeah, it does look like, we pull back to that uptrend. Pretty cool how these things work. And we did get a bounce from that trend line. So we put in a lower low there than over here, but still relative to this one, that is a higher low. So that is not so bad. And I should, let's see, go like this and come back to this. Got about almost 5 minutes left before the call starts. And so Anton says regarding, let's see, I'm just going to pull back to that stock. HIRU, that it has backing from the Saudi king. He just dumped $335 million into it. Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you acknowledging me and Ed. We are happy to share that. Yeah, so I think though, yeah, but just looking at it from the chart perspective, I think that there might be a little bit of a retracement because it looks like, yeah, because even with, this looked good, volume going up, but still relative to this first candle, volume's getting lower as it's going higher. So it probably suggests it's either going to consolidate, which would be ideal as volume comes down, and that would suggest it might be a bull flag, and then it breaks out from this downtrend, or if it starts to pull back as volume comes down, maybe then it would be starting to find a bottom. And I think there might be a thunderstorm coming where I live, so you guys might hear some of that. But I will probably actually silence my mic once the thunderstorm is coming. But I'll silence my mic, and I should. Sorry, I'm on the wrong stock. I'll silence my mic once their call starts in about 3 minutes, and yeah, and if there is some video with it, which there typically isn't for earnings calls, I will switch over so we can see that. But I always think it's fun to look at the chart when these earnings calls are happening, just to see, how things. Got some action on that other screen. And I got my notepad ready, so I'm just gonna open this up. Oh yeah, look. It looks like it might actually be a YouTube video. Oops. Yeah, so what I might do is so yeah, this is what it was looking like over there. And so what I might do is, if it is just a video, I'll have to figure that out. I'm in Iowa. I'm in the Midwest. And yeah, we've been, there was a tornado a week ago or something, not where I live, but in a different part of Iowa. And I really wanted to watch Twisters today, but I had some fun making that AMC video. The channel voted on wanting me to stream this, and yeah, so I probably won't get to see Twisters today, but I'm excited for it. I think it's what they've done with the characters. I think is pretty interesting. So I'm interested to learn more about them. And I actually, I used to study the ocean, and with that, I was in a program where I have a good amount of friends who are meteorologists, and they studied hurricanes, and so pretty similar to tornadoes, and some of them are very fascinated by that stuff. So I also find it kind of an interesting perspective there. And I'm actually gonna. I don't know. Okay, so I've got it in my ear, the music for it. And what I might do, let's see, how do I do this smoothly? Okay, I gotta figure this out. So yeah, what I might do, just trying to reorganize this. So if you guys are curious, I got my Weeble on top of Chrome, and I'll have us plugged into audio, and then I'll just switch back and forth between these. So I feel like that seems like a cool way to do this. I've got some like rave music in my ear, which is their call. And so we'll see. Oh yeah, and actually here, I shouldn't have screwed things up. But yeah, it says up here, as you can see, audio only at Webcast. Right now it's just audio, which is dance music. Yeah, the new movie Twisters, and I'm so excited to watch Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't have tickets yet for it, but I just think that's gonna be such a cool movie. I remember being a kid, and my brother and I were just like obsessed with Wolverine, like the Marvel action figures. I remember so much nostalgia with Marvel and stuff like that. Comic books, going to stores, getting toys, reading the comic books, graphic novels, music. The call is starting, so I'm gonna be quiet.
Head of Investor Relations, and I'm joined today by Elon Musk, Vaibhav Taneja, and a number of other executives. Our Q2 results were announced at about 3 p.m. Central Time in the update deck we published at the same link as this webcast. During this call, we will discuss our business outlook and make forward-looking statements. These comments are based on our predictions and expectations as of today. Actual events or results could differ materially due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those mentioned in our most recent filings with the SEC. During the question and answer portion of today's call, please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. Please use the raise hand button to join the question queue. Before we jump into Q&A, Elon has some opening remarks. Elon?
Thank you. So to recap, we saw large adoption acceleration in EVs, and then a bit of a hangover as others struggle to make compelling EVs. So there have been quite a few competing electric vehicles that have entered the market, and mostly they have not done well, but they have discounted their EVs very substantially, which has made it a bit more difficult for Tesla. We don't see this as a long-term issue, but really as fairly short-term. And we still obviously firmly believe that EVs are best for customers and that the world is headed for a fully electrified transport, not just of cars, but also of aircraft and boats. Despite many challenges, the Tesla team did a great job executing, and we did achieve record quarterly revenues. Energy storage deployments reached an all-time high in Q2, leading to record profits for the energy business. And we're investing in many future projects, including AI training and inference, and a great deal of infrastructure to support future products. We won't get too much into the product roadmap here because that is reserved for product announcement events. But we are on track to deliver a more affordable model in the first half of next year. Really, by far, the biggest differentiator for Tesla is autonomy. In addition to that, we have scale economies, and I think we're the most efficient electric vehicle producer in the world. So, anyway. While others are pursuing different parts of the AI robotics stack, we are pursuing all of them. This allows for better cost control, more scale, quicker time to market, and a superior product. Applying not just to autonomous vehicles, but to autonomous humanoid robots like Optimus. Regarding full self-driving and robotaxi, we've made a lot of progress with full self-driving in Q2, and with version 12.5 beginning rollout, we think customers will experience a step change improvement in how well supervised full self-driving works. Version 12.5 has 5 times the parameters of 12.4 and will finally merge the highway and city stacks. So the highway stack is still, at this point, is pretty old. So often the issues people encounter are on the highway, but with 12.5, we finally merged the 2 stacks. I still find that most people actually don't know how good the system is. And I would encourage anyone to understand the system better to simply try it out and let the car drive you around. One of the things we're going to be doing just to make sure people actually understand the capabilities of the car is when delivering a new car and when picking up a car for service, to just show people how to use it and just drive them around the block. Once people use it at all, they tend to continue using it. So it's very compelling, and then this, I think, will be a massive demand driver. Even unsupervised full self-driving will be a massive demand driver. And as we increase the miles between intervention, it will transition from supervised full self-driving to unsupervised full self-driving, and we can unlock massive potential in the fleet. We postponed the sort of robotaxi, or the sort of product unveil by a couple months, where it's shifted to 10/10, so the 10th of October. And this is because I wanted to make some important changes that I think would improve the vehicle, the sort of the robotaxi, the main thing that we're going to show, and we're also going to show off a couple of other things. So moving it back a few months allowed us to improve the robotaxi, as well as add in a couple other things for the product unveil. We're also nearing completion of the south expansion of Giga Texas, which will house our largest training cluster to date. This will be an incremental 50,000 H100s plus 20,000 of our hardware 4 or AI5 Tesla AI computer. With Optimus, Optimus is already performing tasks in our factory, and we expect to have Optimus production version 1 in limited production starting early next year. This will be for Tesla consumption. It's just better for us to iron out the issues ourselves. But we expect to have several thousand Optimus robots produced and doing useful things by the end of next year in the Tesla factories. And then in 2026, ramping up production quite a bit. And at that point, we'll be providing Optimus robots to outside customers. That'll be production version 2 of Optimus. For the energy business, this is growing faster than anything else. We are really demand constrained rather than production constrained. So we're ramping up production in our US factory, as well as building the Megapack factory in China that should roughly double our output. Maybe more than double, maybe triple potentially. So in conclusion, we're super excited about the progress across the board. We're changing the energy system, how people move around, how people approach the economy. The undertaking is massive, but I think the future is incredibly bright. I really just can't emphasize just the importance of autonomy for the vehicle side and for Optimus. Although the numbers sound crazy, I think Tesla producing at volume with unsupervised FSD, essentially enabling the fleet to operate like a giant autonomous fleet, and it takes the valuation, I think, to some pretty crazy number. ARK Invest thinks on the order of $5 trillion. I think they're probably not wrong. And long-term Optimus, I think, achieves a valuation several times that number. I want to thank the Tesla team for strong execution and looking forward to exciting years ahead.
Great. Thank you very much, Elon. And Vaibhav has opening remarks as well.
Thanks. As Elon mentioned, the Tesla team rose to the occasion yet again and delivered on all fronts with some notable records. In addition to those records, we saw our automotive deliveries grow sequentially. I would like to thank the entire Tesla team for their efforts in delivering a great quarter. On the auto business front, affordability remains a top of mind for customers, and in response, in Q2, we offered attractive financing options to offset sustained high interest rates. These programs had an impact on revenue per unit in the quarter. These impacts will persist into Q3 as we have already launched similar programs. We're now offering extremely competitive financing rates in most parts of the world. This is the best time to buy a Tesla. I mean, if you're waiting on the sidelines, come out and get your car. We had a record quarter on regulatory credits revenues and as well. On net, our auto margins remained flat sequentially. It is important to note that the demand for regulatory credits is dependent on other OEMs' plans for the kind of vehicles they're manufacturing and selling, as well as changes in regulations. We pride ourselves to be the company with the most American-made cars and are continuing our journey to further localize our supply chain, not just in the US, but in Europe and China, as well for the respective factories. As always, our focus is on providing the most compelling products at a reasonable price. We have stepped up our efforts to provide more trims that have estimated range of more than 300 miles on a single charge. We believe this, along with the expansion of our supercharging network, is the right strategy to combat range anxiety. Since the revision of FSD pricing in North America, we've seen adoption rates increase meaningfully and expect this to be a driver of vehicle sales as the feature set improves further. Cost per vehicle declined sequentially when we remove the impact of Cybertruck. While we are experiencing material costs trending down, note that there is latency on the cost side, and such reductions would show up in the P&L when the vehicles built with these materials get delivered. Additionally, as we get into the second half of the year, it is important to note that we are still ramping Cybertruck and Model 3 and are also getting impacted by varying amounts of tariffs on both raw materials and finished goods. While our teams are working feverishly to offset these, unfortunately, it may have an impact on the cost in the near term. We previously talked about the potential of the energy business and now feel excited that the foundation that was laid over time is bearing the expected results. Energy storage deployments more than doubled, with contribution not just from Megapack, but also Powerwall, resulting in record revenues and profits for the energy business. Energy storage backlog is strong. As discussed before, deployments will fluctuate from period to period, with some quarters seeing large increases and others seeing a decline. Recognition of storage gigawatt hours is dependent on a variety of factors, including logistics timing, as we send units from a single factory to markets across the world, customer readiness, and in case of EPC projects on construction activities. Moving on to the other parts of the business, service and other gross profits also improved sequentially from the improvement in service utilization and growth in our collision repair business. The impact of our recent reorg is reflected in restructuring and other on the income statement. Just to level set, this was about $622 million of charge, which got recorded in the period. And I want people to remember that we've called it out separately on the financials. Sequentially, our operating expenses, excluding such charges, reduced despite an increase in spend for AI-related activities and higher legal and other costs. On the CapEx front, while we saw a sequential decline in Q2, we still expect the year to be over $10 billion in CapEx as we increase our spend to bring a 50K GPU cluster online. This new cluster will immensely increase our capabilities to scale FSD and other AI initiatives. We reverted to positive free cash flow of $1.3 billion in Q2. This was despite restructuring payments being made in the quarter, and we ended the quarter with over $30 billion of cash and investments. Once again, we've begun the journey towards the next phase for the company, with the building blocks being placed. It will take some time, but will be a rewarding experience for everyone involved. Once again, I would like to thank the entire Tesla team for their efforts.
Great. Thank you very much, Vaibhav. Now let's go to investor questions. The first question is, what is the status on the Roadster?
With respect to the Roadster, we've completed most of the engineering, and I think there's still some upgrades we want to make to it, but we expect to be in production with the Roadster next year.
Great.
It'll be something special, like a Hall of Famer, I think.
Fantastic. The next question is about timing of Robotaxi event, which we've already covered. So we'll go to the next question. When do you expect the first Robotaxi ride?
I guess that's really just a question of when do I expect the first, when can we do unsupervised full self-driving? It's difficult, obviously, my predictions on this have been overly optimistic in the past. So, I mean, based on the current trend, it seems as though we should get miles between interventions to be high enough that it should be far enough in excess of humans that you could do unsupervised possibly by the end of this year. I would be shocked if we cannot do it next year. So next year seems highly probable to me based on point simply plus the points of the curve of miles between intervention. That trend exceeds humans for sure next year. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Our third question is, the Cybertruck is an iconic product that wows everyone who sees it. Do you have plans to expand the cyber vehicle lineup to a cyber SUV or cyber van?
I think we want to limit product announcements to when we have a specific product announcement event rather than earnings calls.
Great, thank you. Our next question is, what is the current status of 4680 battery cell production and how is the ramp up progressing?
Yeah. 4680 production ramped strongly in Q2, delivering 51% more cells than Q1 while reducing COGS significantly. We currently produce more than 1,400 Cybertrucks of 4680 cells per week, and we'll continue to ramp output as we drive costs down further towards the cost parity target we set for the end of the year. We've built our first validation Cybertruck with dry cathode process made on our mass production equipment, which is a huge technical milestone, and we're super proud of that. We're on track for production launch with the dry cathode in Q4, and this will enable cell costs to be significantly below available alternatives, which was the original goal of the 4680 program.
Great.
Thank you very much. The next question is, any update on Dojo?
Yeah, so Dojo, I should preface this by saying I'm incredibly impressed by NVIDIA's execution and the capability of their hardware. And what we are seeing is that the demand for NVIDIA hardware is so high that it's often difficult to get the GPUs. There just seems this, I guess I'm quite concerned about actually being able to get state-of-the-art NVIDIA GPUs when we want them. I think this therefore requires that we put a lot more effort on Dojo in order to ensure that we've got the training capability that we need. So we are going to double down on Dojo, and we do see a path to being competitive with NVIDIA with Dojo. And I think we kind of have no choice because the demand for NVIDIA is so high, and it's obviously their obligation essentially to raise the price of GPUs to whatever the market will bear, which is very high. So I think we've really got to make Dojo work, and we will.
Great. The next question is, what type of accessories will be offered with Optimus?
Optimus is intended to be a generalized humanoid robot with a lot of intelligence. So it's like saying, what kind of accessories would be offered with a human? It's just really intended to be able to be backwards compatible with human tasks. So it would, use any accessories that a human would use. Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is, do you feel you're cheating people out of the joys of owning a Tesla by not advertising?
We are doing some advertising. So,
Yeah.
want to say something?
Yeah, I'll say something. Our fundamental belief is that we need to be providing the best products at a reasonable price to the consumers. Just to give you a fact, in US alone in Q2, over 2/3 of our sales deliveries were to people who had never owned a Tesla before, and which is encouraging. We've spent money on advertising and other awareness programs, and we have adjusted our strategy. We're not saying no to advertising, but this is a dynamic play, and we know that we have not exhausted all our options, and therefore plan to keep adjusting in the later half of this year as well.
Great. Thank you very much. The next question is on energy growth, which we already covered in opening remarks. So we'll move on to the next one. What is the updated timeline for Giga Mexico, and what will be the primary vehicles produced initially?
Well, we currently are paused on Giga Mexico. I think we need to see just where things stand after the election. Trump has said that you will put heavy tariffs on vehicles produced in Mexico. So it doesn't make sense to invest a lot in Mexico if that is going to be the case. So we kind of need to see where things play out politically. However, we are increasing capacity at our existing factories quite significantly. And I should say that the cyber taxi or robotaxi will be produced here at our headquarters at Giga, Texas.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, as will Optimus towards the end of next year for Optimus production version 2. The high volume version of Optimus will also be produced here in Texas.
Great, thank you. Just a couple more. Is Tesla still in talks with an OEM to license FSD?
There are a few major OEMs that have expressed interest in licensing Tesla or Tesla Full Self-Driving, and I suspect there will be more over time, but we can't comment on the details of those discussions.
All right, thank you. And the last one, any updates on investing in xAI and integrating Grok into Tesla software?
Well, I should say that Tesla is learning quite a bit from xAI. It's been actually helpful in advancing Full Self-Driving and in building up the new Tesla data center. Regarding investing in xAI, I think we'd need to have a shareholder approval of any such investment. But I'm certainly supportive of that if shareholders are. But I think we need a vote on that. And I think that there are opportunities to integrate Grok into Tesla software. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. And now we will move on to analyst questions. The first question comes from Will Stein from Truist. Will, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Great, thanks so much for taking my question. And this relates a little bit to the last one that was asked. Elon, I share your strong enthusiasm about AI, and I recognize Tesla's opportunity to do some great things with the technology, but there are some concerns I have about Tesla's commercialization, and that's what I'd like to ask about. Specifically, there were some news stories through the quarter that indicated that you redirected some AI compute systems that were destined for Tesla instead to xAI, or perhaps it was to X, I'm not sure. And similarly, a few quarters ago, if you recall, I asked about your ability to hire engineers in this area, and you noted that there was a great desire for some of these engineers to work on projects that you were involved with, but some of them weren't at Tesla. They were instead at xAI, or perhaps even X again. So the question is, when it comes to your capital investments, your AI R&D, your AI engineers, how do you make allocation decisions among these various ventures, and how do you make Tesla owners comfortable that you're doing it in a way that really benefits them? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're referring to a very like an old article regarding GPUs. I think that's like 6 or 7 months old. Tesla simply had no place to turn them on. So it would have been a waste of Tesla capital, because we would just have to order H100s and have no place to turn them on. So it was just, this wasn't a let's pick xAI over Tesla. There was no, the Tesla data centers were full. There was no place to actually put them. We've been working 24/7 to complete the south extension on the Tesla Gigafactory here in Texas. That south extension is what will house the 50,000 H100s, and we're beginning to move the H100 server racks into place there. But we needed that to be complete physically. You can't just order GPUs and turn them on with no. You need a data center. It's not possible. So I want to be clear that was in Tesla's interest, not contrary to Tesla's interest. Does Tesla no good to have GPUs that can't turn on? The split second that south extension is able to take GPUs, which is really just this week. We are moving GPUs in there, and we'll bring them online. With regard to xAI, there are people that only want to work on AGI. So what I was finding was that when trying to recruit people to Tesla, they were only interested in working on AGI, not Tesla specific problems, and they want to do a startup. So it was a case of either they go to a startup and I'm involved, or they do a startup and I'm not involved. Those are the two choices. This wasn't they would come to Tesla. They were not going to come to Tesla under any circumstances. So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would even add that, AI is a broad spectrum. And there are a lot of things which, we are focused on full self-driving as Tesla and also Optimus. But there's the other spectrum of AI which we're not working on. And that's the kind of work which other companies are trying to do, in this case, XAI. So you have to keep that in mind, that it's a broad spectrum. It's not just one specific thing.
Yeah, and once again, I want to just repeat myself here. I tried to recruit them to Tesla, including to say, like, you can work on AGI if you want, and they refused. Only then was XAI created.
I really appreciate that clarification. If I can ask one follow-up, it relates to the new vehicles that you're planning to introduce next year. I understand this is not the venue for product announcements, but when we think about the focus, I've heard on the one hand that the focus is on cost reduction. On the other hand, you also said that the Roadster would come out. Should we expect other, maybe more limited variants, like similar to the cars that you make today, but with some changes or improvements or different, some other variability in the form factors? Should we expect that to be a significant part of the strategy in the next year or two?
I don't want to get into the details of product announcements, and we have to be careful of the Osborne effect here. So, if you start announcing some great thing, it affects our near-term sales. We're going to make great products in the future, just like we have in the past. End of story.
Great. The next question comes from Ben Kallo from Baird. Ben, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. When we think about revenue contribution and with energy growing so quickly and, Optimus on the come, how do we think about, the overall segments longer term? And then do you think that auto revenue will fall below 50% of your overall revenue? And then my follow-up is just on the last call, you talked about distributed compute on your new hardware. Could you just update us and talk a little bit more about that, the timeline for it, and how you would reward customers for letting you use their compute power in their cars? Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, as I've said a few times, I think the long-term value of Optimus will exceed that of everything else at Tesla combined. So it's simply, if you simply consider the usefulness, utility of a humanoid robot that can do pretty much anything you ask of it, I think everyone on Earth is going to want one. There's 8 billion people on Earth, so that's 8 billion right there. Then you've got all of the industrial uses, which is probably at least as much, if not way more. So I suspect that the long-term demand for general-purpose humanoid robots is in excess of 20 billion units. And Tesla has the most advanced humanoid robot in the world, and is also very good at manufacturing, which these other companies are not. And we've got a lot of experience the most experience with the world leaders in real-world AI. So we have all of the ingredients. I think we're unique in having all of the ingredients necessary for large-scale, high-utility, generalized humanoid robots. That's why, my rough estimate long-term is in accordance with the ARK Invest analysis of, a market cap of on the order of 5 trillion for, maybe more, for autonomous transport. And it's several times that number for general-purpose humanoid robots. At that point, I'm not sure what money even means. But in the benign AI scenario, we're headed for an age of abundance, where there is no shortage of goods and services. Anyone can have pretty much anything they want. it's a very wild future we're headed for.
On the distributed compute.
Yeah, distributed compute. That seems like a pretty obvious thing to do. I think where the distributed compute becomes interesting is with our next generation Tesla AI chip, which is hardware 5, or what we're calling AI 5, which is from the standpoint of inference capability comparable to a B200, an NVIDIA B200. And we're aiming to have that in production at the end of next year and scale production in 26. So it just seemed like even if you've got autonomous vehicles that are operating for 50 or 60 hours a week, there's 168 hours in a week. So you have somewhere above, I think, 100 neural net computing. I think we need a better word than GPU, because GPU means graphics processing unit. So there's 100 hours plus per week of AI compute, AI inference compute from the fleet, from the vehicles, and probably some percentage from the humanoid robots, that it would make sense to do distributed inference. And if there's a fleet of, at some point, 100 million vehicles with AI 5 and beyond, because you have AI 6 and 7 and whatnot, and there may be billions of humanoid robots, that is just a staggering amount of inference compute that could be used for general purpose computing. It doesn't have to be used for the humanoid robot or for the car. So I think that's a pretty obvious thing to say, like, well, it's more useful than having to do nothing.
All right, thank you. The next question comes from Alex Potter from Piper. Alex, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Perfect, thanks. Wanted to ask a question on FSD licensing. You mentioned that in passing previously. Was just wondering if you can elaborate maybe on the mechanics of how that would work. I guess presumably this would not be some sort of simple plug and play proposition. That presumably an OEM would need, I don't know, several years to develop its own vehicle platform that's based on FSD. I imagine they would need to adopt Tesla's electrical architecture, compute, sensor stack. So correct me if I'm sort of misunderstanding this, but if you had a cooperative agreement of some kind with another OEM, then presumably it would take you several years before you'd be able to recognize licensing revenue from that agreement. Is that the right way to think about that?
Yes. The OEMs do not move fast. There's not really a sensor suite. It's just cameras. But they would have to integrate our AI computer and have cameras with a 360-degree view. And at least the gateway, like what talks to the internet and communicates with the Tesla system, that you need kind of a gateway computer too. So it's really a gateway computer with cellular and Wi-Fi connectivity, the Tesla AI computer, and 7 cameras, or enough cameras to get a 360-degree view. But this will, given the speed at which the auto industry moves, it would be several years before you would see this in volume.
Okay, good. That's more or less what I expected. So then the follow-up here is, if you did sign an FSD licensing agreement with another automaker, when do you think you would disclose that? Would you do it right when you sign the agreement, or only after that multiple years has passed and the vehicle is ready to be rolled out?
I think it depends on the OEM. I guess we'd be happy either way.
Yeah, it depends on what kind of arrangement we enter into. A lot of those things we've not ironed those out yet. So we'll make that determination as and when we get to that point.
Okay. And the kind of deals that are obviously relevant are only if some OEM is willing to do this in 1 million cars a year or something significant. It's not if it's like 10,000 or 100,000 cars a year. We could just make that ourselves.
All right, thank you. The next question comes from Dan Levi from Barclays. Dan, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for taking the questions. First, wanted to start with a question on Shanghai. You've leveraged Shanghai as an export center, really due to its low cost, and that makes sense. But maybe you can just give us a sense of how the strategy changes, if at all, given the implementation of tariffs in Europe. Also, to what extent your import of batteries from China into the US, how that might change given the tariffs. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I covered some part of it in my opening remarks, but just to give you a little bit more, just on the tariff side, the European authorities did sample certain other OEMs in the first round to establish the tariffs for cars being imported from China into Europe. While we were not picked up in our individual examination in the first round, they did pick us up in the second round. They visited our factory, we worked with them, provided them all the information. As a result, we are adjusting our import strategy out of China into Europe. One other thing to note is in Q2 itself, we started building right-hand Model Ys out of Berlin, and we also delivered it in UK. And, we're adjusting as needed, but, we will keep adjusting. We're still importing Model 3s into Europe out of Shanghai. And, we are still evaluating what is the best alternate to manage all this. Just on the examination by the European authorities, like I said, we cooperated with them well. We are confident that we should get a better rate than what they have imposed for now. But this is literally evolving, and we are adjusting as fast as we can with this. I would also add that, because of this, you've seen the impact that Berlin is doing more imports into places like Taiwan, as well as, UK I just mentioned. So it will keep changing, and we will keep adapting as we go about it.
Great.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you. As a follow-up, I wanted to ask about the robotaxi strategy, and specifically the shareholder deck here notes that the release is going to be one of the gating factors is regulatory approval. So maybe you could help us understand, which regulations specifically are the ones that we should be looking for. Is it FMVSS that's standard? And then, to what extent does the strategy shift? You've done with FSD more of a nationwide, no boundary approach. Is the robotaxi approach one that's more geofence, so to speak, and is more driven by a state-by-state approach?
I mean, our solution is a generalized solution, unlike what everybody else has. If you see it like Waymo and whatnot, they have a very localized solution that requires high density mapping. It's quite fragile. So, their ability to expand rapidly is limited. Our solution is a general solution that works anywhere. It would even work on a different Earth. So if you rendered a new Earth, it would work on a new Earth. So there's this capability. I think in our experience, once we demonstrate that something is safe enough or significantly safer than human, we find that regulators are supportive of deployment of that capability. It's difficult to argue with if you've got a large number of, if you've got billions of miles that show that in the future unsupervised FSD is safer than human. What regulator could really stand in the way of that? They're morally obligated to approve. So I don't think regulatory approval will be a limiting factor. I should also say that the self-driving capabilities of that are deployed outside of North America are far behind that in North America. So with version 12.5 and maybe it's 12.6, but pretty soon we will ask for regulatory approval of the Tesla supervised FSD in Europe, China, and other countries. And I think we're likely to receive that before the end of the year.
Thank you.
Which will be a helpful demand driver in those regions, obviously.
Thank you.
Just to add to that, Travis, in terms of like, as Elon said, in terms of regulatory approval, the vehicles are governed by FMVSS in the US, which is NHTSA, which is the same across all 50 states. The road rules are the same across all 50 states. So creating a generalized solution gives us the best opportunity to deploy in all 50 states reasonably. Of course, there are state and even local municipal level regulations that may apply to, being a transportation company or deploying taxis. But, as far as getting the vehicle on the road, that's all federal, and that's very much in line with what, Elon was just suggesting about the data and the vehicle itself.
And to add to the technology point, the end-to-end network basically makes no assumption about the location. Like you could add data from different countries and it would just like perform equally well there. There's like almost like close to zero US specific code in there. It's all just the data that comes from the US.
Yeah, to that end, Ashok, it's like, we can go as humans to other countries and drive with some reasonable amount of assessment in those countries. And that's how you design the FSD software.
Yeah, exactly.
Great, thanks, guys. The next question comes from George from Canaccord. George, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking my questions. Maybe just to expand on the regulatory question for a second, and I could be comparing apples and oranges, but GM canceled their pedalless, wheelless vehicle. And according to the company this morning, their decision was driven by uncertainty about the regulatory environment. And from what we understand, and again, maybe I'm wrong here, but the robo-taxi that has been shown, at least in images of the public, is also pedalless and wheelless. Is there a different regulatory concern just if you deploy a vehicle like that doesn't have pedals or a wheel, and may that be different from just regular FSD on a traditional Tesla vehicle? Thank you.
Well, obviously, the real reason that they canceled it is because GM can't make it work, not because of regulators. They're blaming regulators. That's misleading of them to do so, because Waymo is doing just fine in those markets. So it's just that their technology is not up to par.
Right. And maybe just as a follow-up, I think you mentioned that FSD take rates were up materially after you reduced the price. Is there any way you can help us quantify what that means exactly? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we've shared we've seen a meaningful increase. I don't want to get into specific because we started from a low base, but we are seeing encouraging results. And the key thing here is, like Elon said, you need to experience it because words can't describe it till the time we actually use it. And that's why we are trying to make sure that every time a car is getting delivered, people are being showed how this thing is working, because when you see it working, you realize how great it is. I mean, just to give you one example, so again, there's a biased example, but I have a more than 20-mile commute into the factory almost every day. I have zero interventions on the latest stack, and the car just literally drives me over. And especially with the latest version, wherein we're also tracking your eye movement, the steering wheel nag is almost not there, as long as you're not wearing sunglasses.
Well, we're fixing the sunglasses thing. It's coming soon. So you will be able to drive. You'll be able to have sunglasses on and have the car drive.
Yeah.
But there's a fair number of times I've talked with smart people who like live in New York or maybe downtown Boston, and don't ever drive, and then are asking me about FSD. I'm like, you can just get a car and try it. If you're not doing that, you have no idea what's going on.
Thank you. The next question comes from Pierre from New Street. Pierre, please unmute yourself.
Hey guys, thank you for taking my question. So it's on robotaxi again, and I completely get it that with a universal solution, we will get like regulatory approval. We get there eventually, clicking up miles and compute, etc. And my question is more, how you think about deployments? Because I'm still like, I'm thinking once you have a car that can drive everywhere, that can replace me, it can replace a taxi. But then to do the ride-hailing service, you need a certain scale. And that means a lot of cars on the road. And so you need an infrastructure to just maintain the cars, take care of them, etc. And so my question is, are you already working on that? Do you have already an idea of what like your plan to deploy looks like? And is that like a Tesla only plan, or are you looking at partners, local partners, global partners to do that? And I'll have a quick follow-up.
No, this would just be the Tesla network. You just literally open the Tesla app and summon a car, and we send a car to pick you up and take you somewhere. We'll have a fleet that's, I don't know, on the order of 7 million that are capable of autonomy soon. In the years to come, it'll be over 10 million, then over 20 million. This is immense scale. The car is able to operate 24/7, unlike the human driver. So the capability to, like, there's this basically instant scale with a software update. And now this is for a customer-owned fleet. So you can think of that as being a bit like Airbnb. Like, you can choose to allow your car to be used by the fleet, or cancel that and bring it back. It can be used by the fleet all the time. It can be used by the fleet some of the time, and then Tesla would share in the revenue with the customer. But you can think of the giant fleet of Tesla vehicles as like a giant sort of Airbnb equivalent fleet, Airbnb on wheels. Then, in addition, we would make some number of cars for Tesla that would just be owned by Tesla and be added to the fleet. I guess that would be a bit more like Uber. But this would all be the Tesla network. And there's an important clause we've put in every Tesla purchase, which is that the Tesla vehicles can only be used in the Tesla fleet. They cannot be used by a third party for autonomy.
Okay. And do you think that scales like progressively, so you can start in a city with just a handful of cars and you grow the number of cars over time? Or do you think there is like a critical mass you need to get to be able to offer like a service that is of competitive quality compared to what like Uber would be typically delivering already?
I guess maybe I'm not conveying this correctly. The entire Tesla fleet basically becomes active. This is obviously, maybe there's some number of people who don't want their car to earn money, but I think most people will. It's instant scale.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Colin from Oppenheimer. Colin, please unmute yourself.
Sorry about that, guys. I've got two questions around energy storage. With the tight supply and the stationary storage, can you talk about your pricing strategy and how you're thinking about saturation in given geographies, given that some of these larger systems are starting to shift wholesale power markets in a pretty meaningful way quickly?
So we are working with a large set of players in the market, and our pipeline is actually pretty long, and there's actually a long end in terms of where you enter into a contract to where delivery starts happening. And so far, we have good pricing leverage, and I'll have Mike chime in on this too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of competition from Chinese OEMs, just like there is in the vehicle space. So we're in close contact with our customers and making sure that we're remaining competitive in where they're needing to be competitive to secure contracts to sell power and energy in the markets. We had a really strong contracting quarter and continue to build our backlog for 2025 and 2026. So we feel pretty good about where we are in the market. We realize that competition is strong, but we have a pretty strong value proposition with, offering a fully integrated product with our own power electronics and site level controls. So
yeah, and again, the aspect which people do not fully understand is that there's also a whole software stack which comes with our Megapack.
Right.
And that is a unique proposition which we have, which is only available to us, and we're using it with other stuff too. But that gives us a much more of an edge as compared to the competition.
Yeah, we find customers that they can sort of put together a hodgepodge solution, and then sometimes they'll pick that solution, and then that doesn't work, and then they come back to us.
yeah, and we're not really seeing saturation for, like, on a global scale. There's little pockets of saturation in different markets, but we're more seeing that there's markets opening up given demand on the grid just continues to increase more than anyone expects. So that just opens up markets, really across the world in different pockets.
Yeah, I mean, just even on the AI compute side, right? These GPUs are really power hungry, and the amount of new pipeline which we're getting for people for data center backup and things like that is increasing at a pretty large scale.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. And then the follow-up here is around the 4680 process technology, and the roll-to-roll process. There's some news around your equipment suppliers. Can you talk about how far along you are in potentially qualifying an incremental supplier around some of those critical process technology steps?
Yeah, I can talk about that. As you're probably referring to the lawsuit that we have with one of our suppliers. Look, I don't think this is going to affect our ability to roll out 4680. We have very strong IP position in the technology, and the majority of the equipment that we use is in-house designed, and some of it's in-house built. And so we can take our IP stack and have someone else build it if we need to. So that's not really a concern right now.
Yeah, I think people don't understand just how much demand there will be for grid storage. They really just, like, the people, I think, are underestimating this demand by probably orders of magnitude. So that the actual total energy output of, say, the US grid is, if the power plants can operate at steady state, is at least 2 to 3 times the amount of energy it currently produces. Because there are huge gaps. There's a huge difference in the from peak to trough in terms of energy or power generation. So in order for a grid to not have blackouts, it must be able to support the load at the worst minute of the worst day of the year, the coldest or hottest day, which means that for the rest of the time, the rest of the year, it's got massive excess power generation capability, but it has no way to store that energy. Once you add battery packs, you can now run the power plants at steady state. Steady state means that basically any given grid anywhere in the world can produce, in terms of cumulative energy in the course of a year, at least twice what it is currently producing. In some cases, maybe 3 times.
All right, thank you.
This is a very profound thing.
Great. Thank you, Elon. The next question comes from Colin Langan from Wells Fargo. Colin, please unmute yourself.
Oh, great. Thanks for taking my questions. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Sorry. I guess we're going to ask, if Trump wins, there's a higher chance that IRA could get cut. I think, Elon, you had commented online that Tesla doesn't survive on EV subsidies. But wouldn't Tesla lose a lot of support if IRA goes away? I think Model Y, 3 and Y get IRA help for customers, and I think your batteries get production tax credits. So just one, can you clarify if IRA ends, would it be a negative for your profitability in the near term? Why might it not be a negative? And then, any framing of the current, support you get IRA related.
I guess that there would be like some impact, but I think it would be devastating for our competitors, but and it would hurt Tesla slightly. But long term probably actually helps Tesla. That would be my guess. Yeah. But and I've said this before on earnings calls. The value of Tesla overwhelmingly is autonomy. These other things are in the noise relative to autonomy. So I recommend anyone who doesn't believe that Tesla will solve vehicle autonomy should not hold Tesla stock. They should sell their Tesla stock. If you believe Tesla will solve autonomy, you should buy Tesla stock. And all these other questions are in the noise.
Yeah, I mean, I'll add to this just to clarify a few things, that at the end of the day, when we are looking at our business, we've always been looking at it whether or not IRA is there. And we want our business to grow healthy without having any, subsidies coming in, whichever way you look at it. And that's the way we have always modeled everything. And that is the way internally also, even when we're looking at battery costs, yes, there are manufacturing credits which we get, but we always drive ourselves to say, okay, what if there is no IRA benefit? And how do we operate in that kind of an environment? And like Elon said, we definitely have a big advantage as compared to our competition on that front. We've delivered it, and you can see it in the numbers over the years. So there is, you cannot ignore the fundamental sides of the business. And then on top of it, once you add autonomy to it, like Elon said, it becomes meaningless to even think about the short term.
Okay. I think that's unfortunately all the time we have for today. We appreciate all of your questions. We look forward to talking to you next quarter. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Thanks.
Sorry about that silence there, just unplugging myself and all of that. But yeah, so Ben just asked a question about Blink. I might go over that chart very quick. And then I am probably going to just kind of share my thoughts on Tesla. And then I'm going to basically record a video while streaming, and then I'll release that video just to kind of save me some time. I got family coming in, got to pick them up at the airport in a few hours. And then and I got to clean my place a little bit before they get here. So I can't stick around for too long, but I will, go over this. And, basically I just responded to Ben in the live chat referring to Antoine's, talking about how, price looked like it was respecting the golden pocket here, and then it started going up. Antoine and I both getting a little antsy as prices going higher. It starts to look like it's getting rejected from this 236, but maybe it's forming a bull flag. Maybe it's going to go higher. And, that's just the market playing with us. The market is always playing with us. It's designed to do that, not necessarily by its roots, its foundation, but that's how it has come to be because of algorithms. They take advantage of people's emotions. That's how Wall Street, big firms, they make money by exploiting people's emotions. And so, here we see, oh, it's hanging out in the golden pocket. Maybe it's finding support there, but maybe it's going to go down to the 786. I don't know. Maybe not. Oh, now it's going up. Oh, I missed the bottom. I missed the bottom. And then it's just like, I need to have some. I need to have some. It's going to escape. It's reaching, escape velocity to get out of here. But then it starts coming down. Then it pulls back to the 786. Now it's bouncing again. And, Antoine and I were discussing this in the live chat that it looks like it might, well, I'm not bearish on it long term or anything. It might be coming down to 200 or maybe 185, that being a great dip buying opportunity in that range. Maybe it goes a little bit lower than that. I'm not sure. Maybe it doesn't get to 200. But, the market's really just playing with us. And I think that with Tesla, if you are thinking, this is a great dip buying opportunity, I'm going to buy the dip, hedge funds, whatever, large firms are going to dump on you in the morning because they're going to see, oh, they're buy the dippers. I'm going to sell them my bags, take my profits, and the price is going to drop more. And so that's when it would come down to like 205 or 185. And so I feel pretty similar, the same about Blink. I had mentioned, it's a very nice bullish engulfing candle on the day. Did fill that gap, so that looks really nice. But what I could see happening with this, and really, I'm trying to get better at, sticking to my levels. And that's part of the nice thing that I'm enjoying about the weekly plan that I do for members is I go over my weekly plan. I highlight the levels I'm going to pay attention to, and I stick to them with, a little bit of wiggle room, but, I stick to them. And so with Blink, if I was holding Blink right now, which I'm not, I'm currently holding ChargePoint, but if I was holding Blink, I would say, I'm going to wait for it to come down to the 786, that's at 283. If my average is above current price, maybe I'd add a share or something every day. That's what I'm doing in my positions that I'm in the red on. And so it's, but then, I have a level that I would add a lot more at. And that's this, that for me, for Blink, that would be the 786 at 283. And so if I'm red today, whatever the closing price is, I'd add another share. If I'm still red, going on a month from now, still add a share every day. Very easy to do at 333 a share. But then if it comes down to 283, have an order, get that filled, get the average down. So that's what I would do. I would just be chilling out because I think, this might be going higher than 375, or, if my average is, between here and 375, maybe trim a little on the way up there. But yeah, I think 283 is the level for that. And so, yeah, just coming back to the Tesla chart, let's see. Hopefully you guys can hear me and everything. And I'm actually going to, yeah, you guys didn't see anything change, but I switched the, you're looking at my display rather than the app. But let's see. Okay, so looking at this in the daily time frame, let's switch over to the minute. Yeah, and I think that this is making, lower lows. This is heading down. It's going to fade. The next level down is going to be doing this full retracement down to 227.98. I think it's going to go lower. But I'm going to kind of save more of my analysis on the chart. And so, yeah, Anton asked, or Ben, I guess, asked Ben if he has crypto. And so for me, as far as crypto goes, I'm probably going to do a video on Friday on basically my strategy with Bitcoin. And other than that, I do hold some alts, but the two main alts that I'm like stacking and have like a clear plan with them, the other ones that I hold are basically like I'm just stacking while I'm red to get my average down. But ones that I have a clear plan with that I've made money with in the past are Dogecoin and Ethereum Classic. Well, I don't know that necessarily I could say I've made money in the past, but I've had clear plans in the past. And I think I have a good plan moving forward. And so basically with Bitcoin, I stack $3 a day. Dogecoin, I stack $3 a day. And Ethereum Classic, I stack $2 a day. And I've always found that Ethereum Classic kind of leads on moves, whether it's to the upside, downside. And so I feel like it's a nice one to hold. It's also very easy to move, cheap to move, fast to move. Same with Dogecoin. So I like those two altcoins because they're cheap, easy, and quick to move. Like Ethereum has high gas fees, takes a while to move, and so it's not so easy to move. And so those are the three main coins that I hold. Bitcoin I view as like a retirement fund, so I don't plan on touching that, selling that. Dogecoin and Ethereum Classic have a lot of upside to their prior all-time highs. I think that they will surpass their all-time highs. And so I view that, and I view Doge as going to $1 a share. And so I view that as a great, 5 to 10x, whatever the price is at. And so I've been stacking that all year. I started stacking in December with, a big stack and then just doing kind of more passive, smaller ones moving forward after that. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of take a step back on the Tesla chart to kind of give myself an idea of how I want to do this video. And I'm actually going to move the watch list to minimize it and adjust this so it's lined up with me there. And then, yeah, so I'm just going to take a step back to consider how I want to do this. And so let's see, this line is going to pop up as vertical. And let's see. Go over to the daily. Yeah, so we just got a bunch of stuff here. I don't want that to be cluttering what's going on. Switch back over to the 1 minute. What, is a nice story here? Or maybe actually, I can't undo it because I changed the time frame. But anyways, I might actually just delete all of these and not refer to any of it. And so, I'm thinking for this video, I'll start on the 1 minute time scale, just going over how prices come down about 7% in the after hours. And then switch over to the daily, really just to talk about this retracement here and also this gap level around 145. I had picked up a share down here, but sold it. And I regret that. And, maybe we think that we're in a bull flag here. And maybe we do find support by this downtrend. And maybe I want to make that yellow or something so it's a little easier to see. But what I could see is this pulling back to this golden pocket, basically. And I think that's going to be a good dip buying opportunity. And so, yeah, Ben, it's possible Ben left. It's never usually that accurate, but it says that there's, I don't think there's anybody watching right now. And apparently you are, Antoine. So Ben, it's possible Ben's not here anymore. But yeah, so I'm going to take my glasses off. I like to wear them as my hair dries because I look crazy if it poofs out, if I don't hold it back while it dries. But yeah, so I'm going to do a quick little Tesla video and record it effectively, and then I'll put it out as a standalone video after this. And so yeah, I'm just going to start that, make sure everything looks all right. And so you guys can see how I record my videos or whatever. Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts like the chart behind me, which is of Tesla, ticker symbol TSLA, which closed on the day Tuesday, July 23rd at a price of $246.38, being down about 2% on the day, but continuing down, as you can see here in the after hours, following the release of their Q2 earnings report. And we can see that price is currently down in the after hours about 7%, trading right around $228.29 a share. We have seen quite a tumble. We were initially forming higher lows over here, but then we did break below that. I did do during the stream a nice little Fibonacci retracement here, and I believe that was from here to here. And it did look like we were respecting the golden pocket, moved up from there, bumped our heads around the 236 here, pulled back to that 786, looking like it was holding as support, but then bumping into resistance again at the 382 over here. And now it looks like we have broken below the 786, and I suspect that price is going to be dipping lower than this low that we saw during after hours, which was at a price of $227.98. And so what I want to do is look at this on the daily time frame, as that is how I typically do my analysis. And I kind of wanted to go over how it does look like, well, maybe this is a bull flag and maybe we're seeing a fake out right now. It does look like we have hit a top and that we might be seeing a pullback. Currently trading, like I said, around 228. That is below the 236 here, which is at $239.80. Also below, right around, but below this yellow downtrend, which if I take a step back, that is based on these two pivot highs over here. And so, I think that this bull flag that we see here is actually kind of a fake out. I think that we're going to be seeing a pullback, and the level that I think this is going to come to is the golden pocket. And so I'll give you some justification for that. And I have to premise this by sharing that back here during this dip, I had this blue line marked here at $144.43. If I take a step back, that corresponds with a gap over here. And so I was waiting all this time for that gap to be filled. And, I bought the dip, just one share, don't got tons of money on the side, but I did get one share below 144.43. But up here, I trimmed it just because, most of the positions that I have are in stocks that trade, $25 a share is high for me. So multiplying that by 10, this is a pretty expensive company to hold, but Tesla is one that I really believe in. And so I regret, of course, price is up a lot more. I regret selling back here, and I would like to pick up some shares on a dip. And I want to be patient for that dip because I know from experience, patience pays. I waited for this blue line to fill, and it filled. And so looking at the chart here, where do I see price coming back to? I was just thinking $200 a share, round number, makes sense. I could see price coming down to there. That does correspond with the 50% retracement at $204.90, being a little bit above there. But, I don't really see a lot of support around there. Maybe, there's a little bit of support here, kind of, a gap here that was somewhat, almost all the way filled right here, but since then we have filled it. So I could see it coming down to there. But what really stands out to me, not 205, not 200, but 185 or maybe 190. That would be corresponding to this golden pocket here. So that is the 65% retracement up to the 618. That is what the golden pocket is. And so I could see price coming down to there and finding support there. And the reason for that is because we have all of this consolidation there. The tops of that consolidation, I think, will be acting as support. So, I think it will be good to wait for that dip. I think those who are patient will be rewarded. And I don't think that it's going to come down to the 786 at 167.09. And the reason for that is because, I think that that is going to be a level people are greedy at. And there's not a lot below it. If it does come down to there, I think it will be coming back to retest this white uptrend that I have drawn here that goes back further in time. But, I just don't think that's going to happen. I think that people waiting for 167 are going to be left behind. I think people waiting for 185 to 190 will be rewarded. And, you might be thinking right now, oh, it's down 7.65% or so in the after hours. It's going to be opening up red tomorrow. That's a dip buying opportunity. And so what I think is going to happen is that large firms are going to see, hey, they're going to be dip buyers. Let's offload our shares to those dip buyers as it pumps up a little bit. And then price is going to come down. And then we'll pick up our shares back here when it finds support at that golden pocket. And then, the sky's the limit. And so for me, just one share, I'm a little guy. But, I'm not holding that share anymore. And I kind of want to get it back and just hold it, forget it, because I believe in the company, whether it's their vehicles, Tesla, Optimus, the AI that they're doing, the robo-taxis. I just think that there are so many great opportunities with Tesla. I think that it is a company that I really want to be holding at least one share of an ad over time if it does dip lower than my average, or, just over time for fun. And so I feel like over the course of the next month, we will be seeing a dip down to 185 to 190, and that is what I'm going to be waiting for. But, you do you. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I get left behind again. that's fine, but I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait for it, and I am going to be happy with that dip buy if it does happen. And if not, I'll be cheering for those who hold. And so, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thanks a lot for watching. And so, I've just recorded that. So that should be coming out here within an hour. But I do need to get logging off to do a little bit of cleaning, get this stuff edited, and have it out. I'm just going to catch up on the comments. There are gaps that need to be filled on Tesla, but there are some gaps that, if we scroll back in time, I'm just going to kind of arbitrarily do this. This was totally arbitrary. There's a gap down here at 17 bucks. That's never getting filled. So gaps don't always get filled. So don't hold your breath for it. But look at this white uptrend. Pretty cool how price came down to that, filling that gap. So maybe it comes down to there again. And if it does, I will hold my share at 185 and I'll average back in or get another share down here, another share down here. Patience pays. And so I think that right now we're going to be seeing some dip buying opportunities, and I look forward to that. And also thinking about that, maybe I should have this in the video. If we do take a step back looking at this, we can see that maybe there's a left shoulder here, a head here. And if we do dip down to that golden pocket, that would be the right shoulder of an inverse head and shoulders right here. And we could see that from that, if we take a measurement from the base of that head to the neckline, that price would then be, let's say it has to, gets back up to that neckline in December, that measurement would take price up to around $400 a share. So, I could see that happening in 2025. And I would be so happy to be holding shares around $200 a share, waiting for the dip before the massive rip that we might see next year. So that is what I am looking forward to, and I hope you are too. But those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thanks a lot for watching. And so that is the alternate end that I will likely include in that video. But I'm going to stop streaming. I hope this was helpful for you guys. Thank you so much for joining. And, it's possible I'm going to take tomorrow night off because I got my brother staying with me and I want to hang out. So I might not do a video tomorrow night. But, I'll probably be posting and stuff, so keep an eye out for that. And thank you so much for watching. I hope that, we do get to see some, dips to around 200 down to 185 so we can pick up some cheap shares. But if not, always happy to be learning about what Tesla's doing, what Elon's working on. And, because I just feel like it, just fills me with hope for the future. And I think that's a pretty important thing. And, that's Tesla, that's Elon Musk. So I think it's good to be hopeful rather than always be so concerned about the bad things. You got to be hopeful for the good things. But on that note, I hope you enjoyed. Take care and good night.